A very good morning to our viewers all across the world. Welcome to your Poetic Intellect on the Weekend Show. My name is Emeka Ozorimba, and today I have with me a lovely sci-fi writer, Mr. Ian Douglas Charles. Good morning, Ian.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to you. I mean, I've been reading your book, The Infinity Trap. Can you give me a synopsis of your book, The Infinity Trap?
Yes, so it's about a young man, a teenager who lives in the future where things are very different today all around the world. And his father's gone missing. So he goes to Mars searching for his father. And to do that, he has to get into the school on Mars for psychic teenagers. And he's not psychic, so he has to pretend and bluff his way in. And as he goes in, he starts to discover that there's much more to it than he knew, that there's ancient Martian technology being misused, and that people are doing things with Martian technology which could destroy humanity. So he finds himself caught up in this, and being a good guy, he tries to save humanity.
Okay, your book is cast in 2225, because I can just
Yes,
imagine where we'll be by then. I'm sure we'll be dust. But
possibly.
yeah, but you gave some referrals to what could the technologies that could happen. Because we were talking about a televator. A televator is kind of like a modern day technology for going up to space instead of using like shuttles and all. So how did you come up with, how did you know about those technologies?
Well, as a science fiction writer, I do a lot of research. I read a lot of, technology reports on the internet, a lot of books, and also I read a lot of science fiction. I'm not the first person to use this idea. Um, Arthur C. Clarke used it once, and the Victorians, over 150 years ago, first suggested the idea. The idea is that you build a tower or a cable that
Yeah.
goes all the way from the ground up into outer space. And so, if you could do that, it would be a very cheap way of getting things into space. And NASA are looking at this idea not for transporting people, but for transporting cargo into outer space. So my book, it's fun, it's an adventure, it's fantastical. So they have an elevator which takes them into outer space.
Okay, how did you come up with your Hesperian and Martian language? Because in the book, Zeke, which is your character, and he knew how to, speak Martian. And the Dusk
Those
Devil,
Christian is not
the
nice,
Dusk
brother.
Devil used to spoke in Martian, so Zeke could communicate with him, very fluently, and that's what kind of helped him. So, how
Yeah.
did you come up with
Hmm?
such language, the ambiguities of such languages?
Well, so I did a lot of research about Mars before I wrote the book, and we're living in the golden era of discovery, really, about Mars with all the robots that are going there and sending back films and samples and stuff. And so I read about how there were different ages in Mars, and one of those ages was called the Hesperian age. That was
Okay.
like 2 billion years ago, which was when Mars was warm and had air and there was water on the surface. So if there was life, it would have been during the Hesperian age. So that's a real word that I've just taken and used for my aliens in the book. Uh, and um, and in terms of the language, well, it's really difficult coming up with the language, but I just spent time, you know, exploring what would work and what would sound like a language, but alien.
Like syntactically, in English, when we want to use
Yes,
syntax, we have to know how the words morphology of words. So that was
yes.
quite nice because when I saw the morphology of how you conjuncted the words, they were just so lovely. Like how they sounded. They sounded like ghost stories. They sounded like,
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted. Yeah, it's
yeah,
because the aliens, sorry to interrupt, the aliens have different mouths to us,
yeah.
so the sounds would come differently from their mouths.
Okay. So you have five. This book has five series. Can you tell us a little more about the second book and the third, the fourth, the fifth? Just a little. Just give us a little, chit chat
Okay,
about that.
so
Yeah.
each book is adventure in its own right with a beginning and an end,
Yeah.
but they're part of a large story arc as Zeke goes deeper into this conspiracy, this plot, as he meets more people, as we find out more about Mars, and there's a monster, the big enemy, the big villain called the Spiral,
Yeah. The
who's
spiral.
trying to get back to our dimension, our universe, so he can do terrible things. And it's about how it gets nearer and nearer, and it ends with a war and an apocalypse, and it seems like everything is lost, and only Zeke and his friends, maybe if they're very lucky and very brave, can turn things around.
Okay, yeah,
So that
you
would
have
be the final
you have a
book.
Nigerian character in your book, Edward. You have a Nigerian
Deo.
character, yeah, Deo, Edward Dio. So, is it because of there are lots of Nigerians in Britain that made you use the Nigerian character, or because I saw you had other characters from different places of the world? You had Asian characters, you had American characters, Canadian characters. So, why did you use the Nigerian character?
Well, I think it's very important when we're looking at the future, even in my book, which is just for fun, to remember that the future is for everyone. I didn't want to write a book where just white British people were doing it all. I think in the future, I hope we will be all literally United Nations, and people from all over the world will be working together in peace. You know, we're a long way away from that, unfortunately, but that's what we hope. And so, yes, in the book, there are characters from Asia, East Asia, Africa, Europe, South America. In book 2, we've got an Eskimo, descendant of the Eskimos. So it was very important to do that. And well, why Nigeria? Why not Nigeria? We do have many wonderful Nigerian people here that I meet. My wife works with lots in the social care industry, and we're very fortunate to have them with us, and we thank them a lot. So, and you know, Nigeria is very famous for its culture. So that's kind of how it came about.
Okay, the last question now, because we're talking about like you know, feminism and being in the month of women and celebrating women. You had a lot of feminine characters which were prominent and which helped, you know, a lot to, you know, talk about how women have a role to play in society building, you know, societal stands, you know, evocation of good mannerisms. So could you tell us a little about that?
Well, again, I just feel it's really important not to be misogynistic. I'm a male writer, but if you read the books, you'll see the characters are split 50-50 between the men and the women, the boys and the girls. And the women have powerful roles. So, you know, they're leaders of institutions. They're strong. They're good fighters, or, you know, they're very wise and clever, and they're in control of their own lives. So that was just so important to me that in the future, the both genders will be equal.
Thank you so much, Ian, for coming on the
You're
program.
welcome.
Yeah, I do appreciate your voice and telling
You're
us about your
welcome.
book, The Infinity Trap. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Okay. If I've taken anything from this book, Infinity Trap, I've taken the act of not being a misogynist, you know, not looking at women like they have a minor role to play in our society, you know, giving them upgraded roles, and also trying to make sure that we have a standard society where everybody can be equal. And according to your assessments as individuals intellectually, that's what you're taking for. My lovely audience all across the world, I hope you've enjoyed watching your Poetic Interlude on The Weekend Show. I've just been with Ian Douglas talking about his book, The Infinity Trap. Stay tuned because we'll have more coming up for you on The Weekend Show after this break.